I mean, last week you had that break above the 200-day moving average. This week you got to hold, I think, what are we, at $80 a barrel here? 5 weeks of gains. Is this real?
I think we're starting to see an inflection point, which was our base case for the second half of the year going into year end. There's three key factors, I think. First is monetary policy, peak rates in the U.S., potentially rate cuts in emerging markets. Second factor is really around China stimulus. Remember, the last print in China for inflation was 0. So there's a lot of room for China to do things to get the economy going, and they better do, because they got 0 inflation. And then the third thing, I think, is also very importantly, we're starting to get OPEC Plus and Russia coordinating the supply side.
Give me a sense here. So for me to get a better handle on where oil may go next here, give us a sense of why it was so depressed over the last few months, at least up until kind of late May, early June.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily it was very depressed. I think it was in a range, $70 to $90 a barrel, give or take, right? So,
but that was well below where a lot of strategists thought it would be, even at that time in the year.
Right. So I think we've had first much faster than anticipated rate hikes. Right. And so we've had much tighter monetary policy. And the second thing I think has been depressing oil has been the fact that we've had a lot more Russian barrels coming into the market because the scheme to put a cap on the Russian price of oil and still maintain those flows has worked very well. And that was a scheme devised by Janet Yellen, and you have to give her a lot of credit for really coming up with a very strong idea there. And then on top of that, we've had a relatively weak China, right? So that combination of weak China, weak manufacturing, much tighter monetary policy than expected, and much more Russian oils kind of maybe kept things lower than we anticipated back in the fourth quarter of last year coming into 2023. But these factors, as I mentioned, are starting to change.